I'm just gonna say it. I think Mortal Kombat is starting to overcomplicate itself. And before people instantly get mad, no, I'm not saying modern MK games are very terrible, because visually and presentation wise, even cinematics and roster design, it's amazing. NetherRealm still absolutely delivers in a lot of areas, but gameplay wise, identity wise, even progression wise, it feels like Mortal Kombat keeps adding systems instead of focusing on what made people fall in love with the series in the first place. Because now, somewhere along the way, Mortal Kombat stopped feeling raw, simple, arcade-like, easy to jump into, and started feeling like, okay, hold on, what mechanic am I dealing with this time? And honestly, I think Mortal Kombat desperately needs to go back to basics. Not backwards, just focused again. But if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming news, reviews, playthroughs, analysis, and we do it in a chill way with no over-editing BS. So if you like that style of content, be sure to hit that sub button and join the Frosty Flames Legion. Anyways, let's get back to the video. One of the reasons why older MK games like MK9 and MKX connected with so many people is because they understood something important. Mortal Kombat works best when they're easy to understand but hard to master. You could hand MK9 to almost anybody and they'd immediately understand the pace, the gameplay loop, the characters, the fun factor. And the same thing with MKX, you know, it was faster. It had depth, it had competitive complexity, but it still felt straightforward. You know, you pick a character or you pick your variation, you learn your combos, you apply pressure, you have fun. That's the core DNA of Mortal Kombat, and lately it feels buried underneath mechanics. And this is the problem with modern systems. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, for MK1 we have the Kameo system. Now look, I understand why NetherRealm added it. They wanted more combo extension, creativity, team variety, more flashy gameplay, and to be fair, in the trailers it's cool, and sometimes it is cool. But the problem is, for a lot of players, Kameo stopped feeling like an addition and started feeling like a requirement. Instead of, you know, this complements my character, it became, my character doesn't function properly without this assist. And that changes the feel of Mortal Kombat entirely. Because traditionally, MK was about your fighter, your matchup knowledge, your tools that you bring to the table, not which side character lets me survive neutral. And when you combine that with long combo extensions, screen clutter, constant assists flying everywhere, the gameplay starts losing clarity, especially for casual players. And MK11 did the same issue in a different way. And honestly, you know, this didn't start with MK1, because with MK11, instead of assist mechanics, it overloaded the game with systems like breakaways, fatal blow armor, wake up mechanics, crushing blows, defensive gauges, and over time, matches started feeling less natural and more like who could abuse the system mechanics better. That's the danger, because Mortal Kombat is at its best when the characters shine. The fights are just naturally brutal. The pacing is clean, you know, that appeals to both the casual and the competitive players. Not when players are constantly thinking about cooldowns, armored interactions, armored meter burns, assist timings, layered mechanics, and I think a lot of fans feel this way even if they can't fully explain it. The games don't feel bad per se, they just feel over-designed, and those are the past two Mortal Kombat games. And this is another huge thing, and what I'm about to say is controversial, but I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me, and that's when Mortal Kombat works best when it's aggressive. Basically, it thrives on aggression. That's why so many people still love Mortal Kombat X. And if you look at, you know, the Mortal Kombat community right now, if you look at all the tournaments and stuff like Destroyers, Champions of the Realms, they're all going back to Mortal Kombat X. And that's because the game was fast, it was violent, oppressive, and chaotic, but it also felt decisive. You know, you got in, you committed, you made reads, you exploded your opponent. It felt raw. Modern MK sometimes feels too restrained by mechanics. You know, you have to play a little too careful, too system heavy, and ironically, the more mechanics they add to increase the depth in their minds, the less natural the gameplay could start to feel. Now, of course, Mortal Kombat X wasn't perfect, but it understood the energy Mortal Kombat should have. Of course, you know, that game was broken as hell. You had the characters that were basically dominating the meta, you know, those hyper aggressive characters, but it was still fun to play, it was still fun to watch, and it's not like other characters can't shine. It's just like those characters you just have to work a little bit or a lot harder than some of the other characters. And also, the series also lost some of its soul with Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1. And honestly, this goes beyond gameplay. Older Mortal Kombat games had so much personality outside of fighting. Like, I recently did a 3D era video. Think about what I talked about in that video. You had Conquest Mode, Motor Combat, Chess Combat, Puzzle Combat, you had the Crypt as well, weird unlockables and hidden secrets, and a lot of people want those back. You know, you could look at the comment section of that video and everyone's saying, bring back everything, because those what made the games feel alive, especially in the 3D era. Were those games balanced competitively? Absolutely not. But they had charm. And modern Mortal Kombat sometimes feels too focused on like presentation, cinematic polish, live service systems, and even monetization systems. You know, get your dragon crystals, we'll sell you some old skins if you give us 20 bucks, man. That sucks. While losing some of that weird experimental energy that the old games had. Older MK games felt like developers just having fun, and people miss that feeling. And the perfect MK game already has this blueprint, and that's the crazy part about it. It's because the formula is already there for NRS. You take the gameplay aggression of MKX, the accessibility of say MK9, the content variety of the 3D era, the atmosphere of the arcade games, and you mix that in with modern graphics and modern presentation, and you'd absolutely have the best Mortal Kombat game ever made. Seriously. Now imagine, you know, MKX gameplay, you know, fast, aggressive gameplay, no overcomplicated assist mechanics, you know, take out that Kameo system, but on top of that you have huge side content, maybe a little creepy atmosphere, something like Deception or Armageddon, and then you have unlockables, secrets, conquest, fun party modes too. Now that's what people actually want, on top of, you know, just towers, online, cinematic story mode, and just regular 1v1 fights, not just another layered mechanic system inside gameplay. Mortal Kombat doesn't need to chase trends, and I think that's another problem. Sometimes it feels like Mortal Kombat keeps trying to reinvent itself around trends, like assist gameplay with, you know, 2xKO and like all these other games that are starting to implement assist gameplay. They're starting to chase live service structures, seasonal grinding, complex layered mechanics that just don't click with fans. But Mortal Kombat became iconic because it already had its own identity. It doesn't need to imitate anybody. The arcade games were legendary because they were simple but brutal, and they were mysterious too, and easy to pick up but hard to master. And I think that's the formula. And honestly, I think a lot of fans are craving that simplicity again, not because they hate innovation 100%, but because Mortal Kombat feels it's at its strongest when it remembers what made it special in the first place. So no, I don't think Mortal Kombat needs to stop evolving 100%. You know, you could add stuff, but I do think it needs to stop overcomplicating itself, because right now it feels like the series keeps adding more systems, more mechanics, more layers, while forgetting the core feeling that made people love Mortal Kombat to begin with. The best MK games weren't successful because they had the best mechanics. They were successful because they were fun, they were memorable, aggressive, stylish, replayable. And honestly, if NRS can combine modern visuals with that everything that I said, you know, the classic soul, MKX aggression, MK9 simplicity, and 3D era content, then I think Mortal Kombat could genuinely feel special again. And that's why I titled my video, Mortal Kombat needs to go back to basics. But that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Mortal Kombat works best when it's aggressive and when it's basic like how MK9 was, or even the 3D era or the arcade games were? Or do you like the MK1 Kameo system, or the MK11, whatever systems it has, crushing blow, fatal blow, breakaways, rolling towards and away your opponent, stuff like that? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe and join the Frosty Flames Legion. Thank you all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.